Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about MongoDB connection with an Express application. So let's get started. I will be first initializing my. Need to initialize this. Package name should I give it this? Yeah. No description, entry point, test.js, and your keyword. Okay, author. Keeping this all as default. Well, I can just make it as main, like making it index.js. Right. Perfect. Description, what should I add? That understanding concepts. Perfect. Let me delete this. I will now be reading index.js or server.js, you can say. Okay, so let's create our Express API first. Let me import Express. Oh, I'll first install it npm add Express. I will also install nodemon so that whenever I make some changes into my file, my server will automatically save that changes and run it. Nodemon and nodemon I should take this. Nodemon and then yeah, perfect. Should I? No templating language. I don't need any templating language as of now. Perfect. Now what I will do is I will go in npm.json. In scripts, I will make a def start. Right. I will make and you add a comma. Right. Listen. I will make def start as nodemon index.js. Perfect. Now I'll create and I will now first create the server. First, let me const express require. Now it will now let me create my application const app equals to whether to create express or an application. Okay. CP express, yeah, I need express. Yeah, I need an express application. Now create an express object which is our application. Now what we'll do is run the server first, comma app dot listen. This is my callback function. Throw any error. If it throws any error, then we have a luck. So log that error. Right. Oh, not perfect. Hmm. Now what I'll do is PM listen. I will need to provide the port 8000 PM start dev start and PM run dev start. Perfect. Oh, error is undefined. Okay, if error, if error, then I will console and log. Otherwise, will not log. Server running port 8000. Perfect. Yes, perfect. Yeah, now what I will do is, okay, so what we will be doing is understanding connections to MongoDB. Now, now we'll be connecting to our MongoDB Compass. Locally, I will be creating a database, a locally hosted database. Yeah, so we'll be connecting to our database using Mongoose. Okay. Now, one thing first I need to clear is, okay. So let me just open Paint. Well, let's have it. Paint is a bit difficult. It is difficult to make understand through Paint. Difficult to make people understand through Paint, or it's very difficult to explain through Paint because obviously. So let's get started now. I'll be showing, telling what is a connection first of all. Means what is a connection in the sense how we need to build connections to our database. So let me get started. First of all, let us consider there is a database known as DB. We have a database, uh, DB database. Okay. Now, okay, no, not I will not explain here. I should explain on draw.io. Okay. It's it's good. It's a bit good. Like okay, Mongo MongoDB. Okay, so what I'll do is, mm, first we have a database, right? So what we'll do is first create a database. This is a database, right? DB database. Now in this database we have multiple collections, right? Like a user's connection, a user's collection, a comments collection, or very different types of collections. You can map it with tables. Collection will correspond to tables in relational databases. Okay, so we'll have many collections inside this database. So let me just make those connections first. Collections, not connections. One, two, three. Yeah. Let me say I have a collection one collection two, and again collection three. Let make it capital. these three collections I do have. Perfect. These three collections, right? Now what? Now I will have my application here. I do have my application here. Yeah, web application. Right now, now what with the help of mongoose client too. Now there's a mongoose client in between. It's a mongoose. Right now, with the help of this mongoose client, I will be interacting with those collections. Right now, let's say if I create only one connection, that is with only single mongoose connection, single mongoose connection. Right? Only one connection. This is this only single. With the help of single client, I will be creating these three connections. Okay, I will be creating these single. This is single connection. Connection here means I think it should be between your web application and mongoose client. Only single connection. Right now, what I'll be doing is, if there are multiple users, let's say user 1, user 2, user 3, I will give it as u1, u2, u3, multiple users. Okay, now what they saying, like, let's say data from he wants some data from the user 1 wants some data from column 1, he needs some data from column 2, and he needs some data from column 3. Both of the three users desired data from different collections. Now what I'll let's say the all three of them make a request, right? So what, let's say user 1 makes a request first, user 1 makes a request for column 1, right? So what will the Mongo application do? Make a request to that mongoose client, right? Here user 1 makes a request to application will make a request to that mongoose client, and with a single connection, there's a single connection. With the help of this mongoose client, I'll be making the request to column 1, get the data, right? Then it will go to then mongoose client, and then mongoose client will give me the application, and then application will give it to user 1. So then user 2 makes again the web application, makes a request to mongoose client, and mongoose client again makes a request to call collection 2. Again the same procedure, user 3 will make again with only single connection, I will be getting data from collection 3. Now if I make, instead of 3 users, if there are thousands of users, right? Now should wouldn't there be an overload on that single connection, right? uh, so my application will get slower, like pulling data from the database will become slow. There will be uh, let's see, if I want to make read and let's say if users make read and write operations, right? So there would be overload on single connection for read and write operations, right? So what if my application creates multiple connections to to distribute the load? Let's say not only single connection, right? Let's say I make another connection 2. I will again make a connection 3, three connections now, right? A connection in the sense now, let's say this belongs to, now this connection belongs to connection 1, connection 1. This is connection 2. Now this is connection 3, right? Now this will belong to connection 3. This will be connection 2. This will belong to connection 1, right? So let's say my user 3 makes a request. Now a user 3 and user 1 make a request at the same time, right? Now what will happen? There are two different connections. So user 3 will also get the data and user 1 will also get the data at the same time, right? um, it will so there will be faster read and write operations. The load is distributed, right? Now imagine it's only a one single connection. If there was a single connection, mongoose the request will go to mongoose client, then mongoose client will again make a request to collection 1, get that data, then it will again go to collection 3, get the data. Now instead of both, with the help of different connection, what I have brought asynchronity, right? Now I can make two different requests at the same time instead of a single. It reduces the load. So that's the main reason. Now, what it is like, it instead of doing that, I should do is delete. Hmm. One, two, three. Right now that's much better. Instead of like single connection, having connection one, connection two, and again connection three. Hmm. That's how you make three different connections. Okay. Now, now do we understand why do we need multiple connections instead of a single connection? Okay. So to distribute the load and get much more faster, like why do we need multiple connections? To distribute the load, to get results much more faster, and it will not slow down our server, or in instance it will not slow down our services to give the data, to get the data. Right now, let's create a single connection. In the sense of, let us create a database. Now, what we'll understand this video is, first we'll be creating a schema. Although MongoDB is schema-less, right? Which means that it can store any type of document. Don't There is no need to follow a particular rule on that. Okay, in relation database we have, if we define three, if we define a schema, or in the sense if we define columns of data table, so the data must follow that particular format, right? But in MongoDB there's no any particular rule to follow the data, to follow any rule to follow. So but with the help of schema, what we can do is we can regulate the documents which will be going to, which will regulate we can regulate the documents which will be going to our collections, to, to make uniformity, to obtain uniformity in the database, right? So what we will be doing is, now let's understand what will first. Okay, so what we have to do first of all is, okay, so let me understand it. Again with help of some again. Now what we need to do is, let's say our database, a DB, has multiple collections. Right? Let's say DB has multiple collections, right? Now what I want is, I want to connect three, these two, these two with a single connection, and these two with the second connection, right? So what I will do is, this is my web app. No, delete. Right? I need I need to, now each of these collection has its own schema. Schema one, this is schema two. Each of these collections have their own schema. 3 and 4. Right. Now what I want to do is this schema will have this connection, this schema collection, this schema will be belonging to this collection, this schema will be belonging to this again collect this schema and then schema. Okay, you can understand that this these are collections, right? So each schema has their own collections. Now what I want is I want my application. This was a DB, this is a schema. Okay, so yeah. I want my application to connect. Should be I want my application to connect this to collection one, this connection one. This should be my connection one. Again, they should belong to connection one, connection one. Again, they should be belonging to connection two. This is connection one, and this is connection two, connection two. Again, this will be connection two. Connection two, right? So now what we'll be doing is, yeah, you will be getting an idea. Like, let's say, okay, so what we'll be doing is we will be creating this schema one, S2, S3, S4, right? What we'll be doing is we'll be defining this schema, four schema in different module. In different modules is, let's say, a module, let's say we will have a folder named schemas, right? In schemas folder we will have a one schema one file, schema two file, then schema three, and schema four. These different four schemas file. Okay, and then we will have a connections file where we'll have two connections, right? We have two connections, connection one and connection two. In connection one we will be connecting schema one and schema two with our connection one, and in connection two file we'll be connecting schema 3 and schema 4 to our connection 2. Now what actually we are doing now, okay, so I made a mistake here. What we are doing is we don't need to connect our connection one schema. We need to connect our collections. Now how do we obtain collections from schema? Now you can obtain your collections from schema by modeling using a mongoose dot model function. This is a dot model which will return you the collections object, right? So instead of here I should here collection one, collection two, collection three, collection four, right? These are four collections. And then here we have schema one, schema two, schema three, and schema four. Yeah, right. So what do we understand from this? So first is, right, what we can do is right here, create a schema folder, store in one file for one schema, right? And then one collection, one file for each connection. Okay, one file for each connection. So that's pretty much easy. What we'll follow this rule and then create a schema. Okay, so how do we need? Okay, so first we'll be first creating an. Okay, so first we need to install MongoDB, mongoose npmi mongoose. Perfect. Start the server and implement start. And save the shit. Okay. Now what I'll be doing is, as discussed, we'll be creating a schema folder. Create a schema folder. Create a schema and the connections connection folder, right? So let's create. Uh, we have a folder, right? Okay. So what we can do is create here. What do we need? A schema. We have schemas, and then we have. Okay, so we have decided what to do. Yeah, I will be creating 4 collections named user collection 1, collection 2, collection 3, and then we'll delete schemas, right? And then we have schema 1 purchase. Now I'll be importing const mongoose equals to require mongoose. Perfect. Now same. I'll be creating 3 more files named schema 2.js. Let's say now we create another schema 3.js and 4 schema 4.js. Schema 4. Perfect. What we will be doing is schema 1 const mongoose require mongoose. Now let's build this. Okay. Now what we'll do is building a default connection. Yeah. No, first we need to. Okay, so first we need to connect to a database. So mongoose dot connect. Mongoose dot connect. Let's say for. Okay, so what each follow this. So let me first write here, and then for each schema. No, we are not connecting to mongoose. We are defining schema. So our schema equals to mongoose schema function. Schema mongoose const schema 1 equals to const mongoose dot schema, and then we'll be describing a schema here, right? So what will be a schema? There would be one. Let's say we have first schema 1 for users. Let's define each for users. Let's define for users where we'll be storing username, what would be, it would be type would be string, and what type would be string, then required would be true, and unique would be how to define unique. True, true, perfect. Again, same for password. To define password, there should be a comma. Password type string required. No, it shouldn't be unique. Perfect. Right? Required true. Password is not required. No, it should not be unique. Perfect. Index dot change it. This was my schema one. Now what I will be doing, I will be exporting this module. I will be exporting this schema. So I need to this model export schema one. Perfect. Same for schema two. Const require mongoose. Mongoose schema is two equal to schema. Now what should I do? It should be comments. Should I make it as users? Then comments. Okay, so let's just keep that back. I will only derive two. Only I will just try to explain using two. Because I don't understand. I don't know how to. Schema two would be control. Let's say we have big views, right? Let's say busy views. Maybe we have comment time. What will be string? Now each comment would have a like. Likes. Time would be number. Right. Yeah. Dislikes. Again, its type would be number. Schema name perfect. Schema. Now what I'll be doing is each file for each connection. So let's have another schemas. Connections. slash con1 con1 again mongoose okay. So now let me make a new connection, default connection. There are two types of connection. First is the default and then create connection, right? Two types of connections. Now first will be I'm making this default connection using var. So first I'll be needing URI, uniform resource identifier equals to localhost. Let's check if I have any uh, test DB or not. If yes, I'll delete that local config and main whatever tastic favorite. I will delete this software engineering. I don't need that as of now. I needed connection string. This connection string. This is my I and again I will have database name in slash. Let's create a test database. Okay. URI would be okay, now each connection will be taking three options. First is the URI. You need to pass a unit config identifier. Then is the options, and then is the callback which will be taken as parameter as error. Right? If there any error occurs, then it will throw just like in here. I have created config MongoDB connection options and error. Yeah, perfect. Throwing an error. Right. So what we'll be doing is creating connection. Now we need to create a connection to a database. So I will get the first database equals to mongoose dot connect. This is my whenever I type mongoose dot connect, it will be giving default connection, first connection. So URI is my uniform identifier. My options would be use new use no, is it's true, and again I will be sending a callback function which is error, which contains error. If it contains error, then console it. Otherwise, successfully connected database. Connected con1 to database. Now we'll adding our collections to this model. We'll be adding our connections. We'll first creating the connections of our schema and then adding to this connection. How do we do that? So first let me create a collection of those schemas. What we'll be doing is mongoose dot model model db dot model me model of, let's say I'll give it a name with users. What will you do? It will be creating it into the lowercase and it will add as MongoDB will automatically convert this user's name into a smaller case and then add as to it. So if I do this, it's seen. Right now, what I can do here is I can add a callback function. Either add a callback function or a use dot then or use promises, that is dot then or dot whatever you want, dot catch. So let me first let me use dot then dot then. Oh wait, I need to model of what you need to require here. When you need to require here, it's the schema which is in the previous folder in schemas in schema 1 user schema. Perfect. Dot this dot then function. And if ID mobile function, yes, it will give me selection. Now, yeah, now there's two types of error, right? When if there's no error to our connection, and if there's a error before connection and error after connection. To listen to errors after connection, what will do is leave it on. I'll be adding an event error. If there's an error, I can do dot adding callback function which is error. If there's an error, console log that error. Right? Else you can just create the model. You need to require that, and then it will give me user collection. This user is a collection object. Right? So now again as I told you, I will be creating two different connections for today. So I will be exporting this collection whenever I require this connection one. Module dot exports to user one. Yeah, user. It has capital U because it makes it me easy under user if I import it. I need to first test something. Let's see if I add a test one dot js and there's a test two dot js. If I make it function module export this, so do I need to test two? Do I need to import with the same name? Stop the server. Let me just run this. It's an F1, yeah. Vulkan is. And you don't need it. You don't need to put with the same name. Now let's see if I import it using like this. Now what I will do is import. Oh wait, what's this one? I will need to import like this. Now let's see if it's print the same. F1 is not a function. It says we'll be needing same name. F1 is not defined. Now it has a right. Okay, so let me just write this. Yeah, we will create a different connection module that export let user two types of errors. Mongoose connection URI callback and error. Again, we'll be creating a connection to launch equals to now what I will do is take create a first we need to make a connection var and db equals to mongoose. This will be a second connection dot create connection using a URI, your options, and what third is the callback on error. If there is an error, if else connected con to database. Now let's make again dot. What is the URI? URI is just same database con mongoose. So now we'll be listening to errors once the connection is made.
टीवी में कुछ देख सकते हो? नहीं। क्यों? क्यों? ये सुबह से आपके पास ही था ना? नहीं, वो सुबह से देखा कहाँ फोन? नहीं देखा कहाँ? हाँ। अरे इसीलिए तो
now DP.
आप देख लो ना टीवी।
Okay, now
अरे देख लो
is
मम्मा
now
टीवी देख लो थोड़ी देर के
DP.
लिए। सुबह 12 बज गए। थोड़ी देर के लिए देख लो ना।
What is
अरे
the
मम्मा देखो
schema
ना
name
तो
should be
मैसेजेस
equal
चेक
to
करने हैं।
db dot model of, let's say, what should we name? User comments reviews.
मम्मा
Review dot db dot model
थोड़ी देर में दे देना यार
equals to
12 बजे दे देना ठीक है?
schema. It's require not same. It's not in the same. Let's say in schema. Schema 2. Yeah. Maybe let's put in this reviews. Perfect. No, this is true, but by default this is true. Perfect. And with our schema connections. Each connection will have, let's say, a URI, your options, and third will be callback on error. Right. Again, so let's get started. Is like, okay, so now how do I initialize my database? So let's say I'll be running my connections. What I can do is I can create a single module where I connect all my databases. You can initialize databases like just need to require these connections, because when you require you also run those scripts, so it will run the script and create a connections model. So let's go. What we can do is just require require these two scripts, that is connections on one, C again on two. Let's see sensor server. Dot on connection one. Cannot read properties of undefined. Okay, so DB is undefined. Mongoose connect test. I didn't get the mongoose connection first. So, oh yeah, it didn't give me. Okay, so with the help of mongoose connection, I need to get the connection first. Connection. Connected to connected. We have given mongoose connection giving a default connection and schema 1 in scheme connection 2 another creation. It returned me a creation. Let's see if we can get a test DB in our compass. So we have reviews, users. Perfect. Now what? Now this is known as exports as schema, where we are exporting as schemas. Oh, no, not here. This is known as export as schema, where we are exporting our schema. Now what we can do is we can also export as model. Let's say in okay. Now what we can do is in this created schema, we can export here as mongoose dot export mongoose dot model of say user comma require. Let's see. I think you wanna require like yeah. No, not require. We have schema, right? In this part the schema object near schema one. You can also do this. This is called as exports as model, where this model is now bind to a mongoose, which is the default connection and not to a new connection, right? You can also do this if you want to connect your connection to a default model, default connection. Yeah, but I will keep. But I think one exports as schema is always better. I think more listening. We need to first get the connection. There are three steps. What three steps we need to first form? Connect, get connection, only for default. Then what do you need to need? Listen for error after connection, and last listen for error after connection, and then connect, and then create, perform modeling. you can say collection. And then export the model. Easy. 5. It's yeah, then thank you.